On this episode of MythBusters,
Fire in the hole!
Adam and Jamie have a blast.
Oh! Good morning!
Testing the cinematic cliche that you can dive underwater
Building your body and your mind!
to survive an above-water boom.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Carrie, Grant, and Tori let their trigger fingers do the talking
Science gets more fun when I get a bigger gun.
to find out if you can bulletproof a car
I don't know about you guys, but I'm having an 18 moment.
with nothing but phone books.
It's alive!
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
We're going to have an adventure.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Grant Imahara,
It's lethal, people!
Carrie Byron,
But at least we still have good chemistry.
and Tori Belleci.
Crashes and fire. This is awesome.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
So what's the story?
Well, I've been thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we were action heroes in our own movie and some bad guys were trying to blow us up, but we managed to escape?
Is that a harp I'm hearing?
Shush, here comes the clip.
It's a climactic cinema cliche. Our heroes are trapped on a boat, and a bomb's about to explode. To escape certain death, they take the plunge. And after a huge kaboom, resurface completely unharmed.
So you're wondering whether diving underwater could help protect you from an injury in the case of an explosion.
Exactly.
Sounds like a blast.
The MythBusters are no strangers to shockwaves, testing if they can cushion a fall,
Wow, here comes the shockwave.
fuse metal, and even make diamonds. But what actually causes one? A shockwave is created when the rapidly expanding gases inside an explosion travel faster than the speed of sound. And it's this shock front that causes a wave of destruction. But can you avoid imminent annihilation by leaping into water? Well, to find out, the MythBusters are hunkering in the bunker for a proof of concept.
So what's this tank all about? Well, Jamie and I wanted to build an experiment that allowed us to see the propagation of a shockwave in water versus air, i.e. in a high impedance fluid as opposed to a low impedance fluid. So, with a little bit of acrylic, a little number 16 acrylic glue, some caulk, and some 1032 button-headed and countersunk screws, I put together this bifurcated tank with a plan to fill this half with water and that half with dry ice fog, or air that we can visualize. We're going to put a firecracker right up here in the center, explode it, and hopefully we'll be able to view that same shockwave in the two different media and see if there's a difference on the high-speed camera.
And for that, Jamie's turned to string theory. These will hang in the water and move if a shockwave hits. With the tanks filled and a firecracker primed, stand by for mayhem in miniature.
Everything's perfect.
Ah, I saw the water move.
Well, let's see how it looked on the high speed.
But a closer look at the high speed reveals not much, actually.
I think we need something bigger than this firecracker.
I think we do. We're going to juice things up a bit. This little firecracker only has a few grains of flash powder in it. If you happen to hold on to this, it'd give you a nasty little burn and make your fingers numb. Officer Smith, I think we need something a little bigger. Can you hook us up? The M80. That ought to do it. This thing has a few grams of flash powder in it. If you held on to it, your fingers are going away. It's going to give us enough of a shockwave to do the job.
With shockwaves, apparently, size matters. Cue the M80.
Come on, baby.
Wow. That was loud.
And interestingly, I saw the fog move but not the water.
Well, let's check it out on high speed. I didn't see much. Did you?
I'm seeing the smoke move around. See that divot there?
Remember, they're looking for proof that a shockwave behaves differently in water to air. But the shockwaves aren't showing up on the close-up. So for a bigger boom, it's back to Officer Smith.
The M1000.
Ah, more?
About 100 times more.
Hopefully that should tie up Jamie's loose threads.
Oh, it's getting close. There it comes. Whoa! I think we're going to have seen something.
I think so. Oh, did that blow the door open? There's water on the ceiling. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
A good sign, but once again the high-speed replay has the same problem. There's no clear shot of the shockwave.
It's reacting, but they seem to be reacting differently somehow.
Well, they're not telling us what we want to see. I think we're going to have to concoct a different test if we're going to learn whether or not there's a difference between a shockwave in the water and a shockwave in the air.
I think you're right. We're done here.
Okay. Every day is the 4th of July.
Next up, the team calls for directory assistance.
So phone book freedom, what is this one all about?
Okay, so this myth comes from a spy TV show, and they say that if you're desperate and penniless, there is an easy way to make your vehicle bulletproof.
Using phone books.
That's right. If you put the phone books in the panels of your car, you can actually stop non-armor piercing rounds easily.
Okay, I can see how that could work. The bullet hits the car door, it hits the metal first, absorbs most of the energy, and the rest gets absorbed by the phone books. It could work.
Wow, sounds like they really phoned this one in.
Well, according to this small screen spy scene, you can bulletproof by numbers. Just one layer of phone books inside the doors, and it's a free ride to safety.
Okay, this one should be pretty simple. We get a bunch of car doors, a bunch of phone books, shoot at them, see if they're bulletproof.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But just to be thorough, we should fire a bunch of different types of guns, because in the real world, you never know what you're going to be up against.
All right, well, I think our first trip should be to the junkyard, and we'll get some doors.
They'll test this myth by the book. So first things first, they need something to stuff.
Uncle Owen, this R2 unit's got a bad motivator.
Right there.
That's perfect. It's like they knew we were coming.
Okay, my way's not working. So we got 4 doors off of this car. That's pretty much all we need to take out into the range. They're already hollowed out, so we can just stick the phone books in there. This should be a piece of cake.
Back at the shop, the cake comes together in what has to be the most low-tech build in MythBusters history.
Wait, round hole, square peg, what?
This doesn't seem to fit.
And with one layer of phone books wedged inside the doors, they head for the shooting range.
You guys ready to start shooting?
To hit the books.
For this experiment, we have car doors lined with a single layer of phone books, which according to the myth is all it took to stop a bullet. And on this side, we've painted a target.
Then we'll set up the doors at the end of the firing range, and we'll start shooting out with a variety of guns from 30 feet away.
We'll be firing a 9mm handgun, a .357 Magnum, a .45 caliber, and finally, 12-gauge shotgun.
It's a simple test. They'll start small and then up the ante on the ammo.
So some of you might be wondering, why aren't they just shooting directly into phone books to test this myth? Well, this myth is not about whether a phone book is bulletproof. It's about whether you can bulletproof a car using phone books, so that the car and the phone book are working in tandem to absorb the energy of the bullet and make the car bulletproof.
Right, and before they take a shot at the myth, how about a prediction?
We're starting out with the 9mm handgun. I'm thinking 2.5 inches of phone book, 1/8 of an inch on the outside of the car door of sheet metal. Yeah, we could be bulletproof right now.
All right, this is the 9mm, the smallest round in our arsenal. Here we go.
Good shot!
There's an entry hole, but no exit for the 9mm,
Look at that.
No way.
2 inches in.
meaning that's one for the books. But can they get the same result with gun number 2? Firing at 1,450 feet per second, it's the .357 Magnum.
Nice shot, Tex.
A clean strike, but what's the verdict?
No way.
So it didn't make it all the way through. That means the phone book actually made this bulletproof.
The phone books block the 9mm, they block the .357 Magnum, but I've got one of these. It's a .45 caliber. If this doesn't make it through, I'll be really surprised. Going hot!
The bullet punched through the front panel.
Yeah.
But the phone book?
No
But
way.
it stopped it.
That's astounding. This myth is looking really good.
That's 3-0 to the phone books. The handgun rounds didn't penetrate. But next, it's the toughest round so far, the 12-gauge shotgun's deer slug.
It's pretty windy.
Okay, well, once the wind has passed, Tori redials with the 12-gauge.
Nice.
Tori's aim is dead on, resulting in the first phone book casualty.
So the 12-gauge deer slug went right through the door. It went through the front panel, the steel reinforcement, the phone book, and the inside panel. Now that is an intense shot.
Intense is right, with the shotgun firing a .385 grain slug at 1,850 feet per second. The phone book at last met its match. But now it's going to meet its maker, because Grant's packing an M14 assault rifle.
Okay, you guys ready?
Oh, look at that bullseye!
Well, no surprise that the bullet went right through the door.
Look at that, it didn't even slow down.
Oh, more like it tore through the door.
With a muzzle velocity 1,000 feet per second faster than the shotgun, it's no surprise that this round also sailed clean through. But where does that leave the myth?
So this myth is about non-armor-piercing rounds being stopped by car doors filled with phone books like these. This is true of the 9mm, the .357 Magnum, and the .45 caliber, all handguns. Once you get anything larger than a handgun, the bullets go right through. So this myth could be busted right here, right now. Or is it?
In this movie myth, our heroes take cover underwater to escape injury from a bomb. But could taking a dive save your life? After 3 inconclusive small-scale booms,
We haven't really seen bupkis.
it's time to up the ante at the MythBusters home away from home.
Good day to blow some crap up, huh?
You bet.
Blow crap up they will, but this time, instead of trying to visualize the shockwave, they'll measure it.
When an explosion happens, it generates a shock wave or a pressure wave, and this wave can cause you physical injury. That's what this whole story is about. Thus, this plumbing equipment here is a matrix for holding together our key piece of detection equipment in this myth, and that is this. An Osico rupture disc, basically a calibrated piece of aluminum foil. When this is properly held in the plumbing and it finds itself in an environment over 13 pounds per square inch of pressure, it will burst, telling you that if you were standing where this disc was, you'd encounter physical injury.
And our regular explosives expert, JD, has the C4 to test them.
That may blow up, but JD, it's not very pretty. Gotta make a...
Make it more like the cartoons.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind you're going to get that Roadrunner this time.
Then it's over to Adam to explain exactly how this all fits together.
We're going to ignite this calibrated block of C4 and it will generate a pressure wave, quite a dangerous pressure wave, that will burst some, but not all of the burst discs in this line. Let's say it bursts all of them up to here and none after that. That tells me that this point is the farthest point at which that explosive generates a dangerous, injurious amount of pressure.
And once they have that dangerous distance, they'll use it in a large-scale repeat of their air versus water test.
Are you ready?
All right, JD, go ahead and light it. This is calculating injurious distance of C4.
We're gonna feel this one.
Yeah, I think so. was a rush.
That'll wake you up in the morning.
Let's go check them out.
Great, one Acme explosion down, and the MythBusters have the dangerous distance data they need.
All the way up to here.
10 feet is it then. That's our danger zone.
Our danger zone. All right, 10 feet. Now it's time for phase 2.
What we want to know is how well an explosion that occurs in the air can make the transition into the water and how potentially dangerous that would be.
And to find out, the guys rejig their rig so that for Blast 2, it can simultaneously monitor the effect of the shockwave in air and in water.
The MythBusters workout consists of moving around pieces of scientific equipment while thinking about them at the same time, building your body and your mind. All right, let's place these. So what's this test about? It's actually pretty simple. One burst disk in air, one burst disk in water. If there's any truth to this myth, what we should see when we set off that explosive is that this burst disk will blow and this one will not.
Okay, take it up.
Well, it's time to put that theory to the test with the same amount of C4 10 feet away from the two pressure disks.
Go for it, JD, light it up.
There it goes.
I don't know about you, but I'm predicting that there will be a difference.
I think so. I'm just thinking about the shockwave. This is invigorating.
Good morning.
Yep, that should do it. Now to find out how the burst disks compare.
Two blown burst disks, two intact burst disks. Nice. That's what I call a result.
There might be something to this after all.
And a look at the high speed confirms Jamie's suspicions.
This high-speed shot tells the whole story. The ruptured disc in the open air is burst immediately and clean through, as opposed to the one in the water, which is affected, but only with a ripple and an instant later. Now, what this tells us is that the water is actually diminishing the shockwave. It's slowing it down and making it much less powerful.
It's looking good for the myth. The water does appear to dampen the shockwave and reduce the risk of injury. But they won't know for sure until they go full scale.
So based on this test, I figure we should take tanks of water out whenever we do tests with explosives. You know, get into the tanks.
That's a great idea.
When you're making a quick getaway from gun-toting bad guys, a little extra protection goes a long way. But so far in this budget bulletproofing saga,
Nice shot, Tex.
the phone numbers just don't add up.
The myth is that a single layer of phone books, when added to a car door, will make an impenetrable barrier to bullets. This is busted. Both our deer slug and our M14 round went clean through.
And though that may be true for a single layer of phone books, how many phone books deep are we gonna have to get to make our car bulletproof for the high-powered ammunition?
So we're gonna carry on. It's obvious that we need more phone books. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the same doors, stuff with the phone book, and add more phone books, 10 to be exact. And see if that's enough to make our cars bulletproof against these higher powered weapons.
The mythical one layer of phone books is busted, but by how much? To find out, they're starting with a worst-case scenario, 10 phone books.
Okay, this is Deer Slug into 10 phone books behind the car door.
Nice shot.
It definitely went through the door. I saw a bunch of confetti.
Once again, the slug blew through the door phone book combo. But how many more books did it take to stop it?
Just one into the auto section. Huh,
So
that's
we
ironic.
got to page 151.
So it looks like 2 phone books is all you would need to stop a deer slug.
Absolutely.
That's not bad.
Not bad, but there's still the Top Gun to go.
All right, so this is the last test. I think this is gonna cut right through.
Well, hold the phone, because it looks like Tori may have been wrong.
There it is, still warm. And we got almost to the backside of the first phone book.
Plus the one nestled inside the door. That's still only 2 phone books to stop an M14 bullet.
I thought it would easily have gone through half that stack.
I thought it was gonna go through the whole stack. I mean, that's it. 2 layers of phone books, and you can turn your car into a bulletproof vehicle. Yeah!
After a hard day's shooting, the myth is busted. But only just. And that's giving the MythBusters something to think about.
So the idea that you can bulletproof a car door with 1 phone book, totally busted.
Yes, but I don't think we can leave it there.
Go on.
I think since we were able to stop all the bullets using 2 phone books in the doors, this whole idea of a bulletproof car using phone books is possible, and I say we try to build one.
A whole car?
Yeah.
Completely bulletproof.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay, but I see there are 2 problems. First, we've established that it takes 2 phone books to armor a door, but what about the windows? And second, we may need so many phone books that the car is too heavy to drive.
So we find out how many phone books it takes to bulletproof a window, we do a little math, and we find out if you load this thing up with phone books, will it still drive?
All right, and then we build a bulletproof car.
Tori's all fired up, but before any overhauling, they're looking into those windows. Just how many phone books will it take to make them stop a slug? To find out, Carrie and Tori position 10 phone books behind the glass and take aim with the mighty M14.
3, 2, 1.
It looks like it went through 3 phone books. Let's go take a look.
Oh, yeah.
3 phone books is right.
There it is. Ta-da.
But there's a problem.
3 phone books deep inside the car is pretty much going to crowd the driver out.
Right, there's not much point in bulletproofing if the driver won't fit. So to give him some room, they try a sandwich formation. 2 on the outside and 1 on the inside.
In 3, 2, 1.
But unfortunately,
It blasted out the backside.
the bullet makes a meal of the sandwich.
But that's crazy. I mean, it's the same amount of material that it's passing through. It's 3 phone books and a pane of glass.
Well, I guess that means that when the bullet hits the window, which is a hard surface, it deforms and then just gets absorbed into the back 3.
And that's key. When the bullet hits a rigid surface like metal or glass first, it expends a large part of its energy. But when the bullet hits the flexible phone books first, less energy is expended, and it can continue along its trajectory. So what they need to know now is how many phone books in front of the glass will stop the slug.
Guns hot?
In 3, 2, 1. Did that go all the way through?
I sure hope not.
Well, actually, the bullet made it through 4.5 phone books. More than double the phone books needed for the doors.
Do you know how heavy it's going to be to cover every single window surface with 5 phone books?
That's better than 10 phone books.
Okay, Brightside Boy.
Yep, turns out the window bulletproofing is a glass half full, half empty kind of situation.
Well, I guess there's really 2 ways to look at the results from this last test. There is my way, which is, oh my God, it's going to take 5 phone books to stop a bullet. Or there's Tori's way, which is, great, it only took 5 phone books to stop the bullet. I think we'll see how full that glass is when we actually do the math and find out not only how many books it's going to take just to cover the windows and how heavy is that going to be, but how many books it's going to take for the entire car and whether we'll even be able to drive it.
With a bomb about to blow and no escape but down, would taking the plunge protect you from the blast? Adam and Jamie are putting that to the test.
Good morning.
We've just seen that there does appear to be an advantage to being submerged when a bomb goes off. The ruptured disc that was under the water was intact. The one that was in the air was ruptured. Obviously, we used a small tank, though, and the scale of the tank or the nature of the tank could have affected our results, so they're not definitive. What we need to do now is go full scale in an open body of water, and we're creating an aquatic rig that will give us the measurements we need both above and below water.
This is a complicated rig with lots of parts
Lots of pieces to cut.
some that float, and some that don't.
Yeah. I know it doesn't look like much, but trust me, once this stuff all goes together, you will see that there is a method to the madness. You don't have to take my word for it. Just probably one more commercial break and you'll get to see it all.
Well, actually, you don't even have to wait that long.
I think that ought to do it.
Let's go scuba diving and blowing some stuff up.
All right.
With the rig flat packed, it's off to location.
Gorgeous.
Looks like we can put the boat in right here.
It's perfect. It's a lovely lake, isn't it? In fact, it's not actually a lake. It's a man-made pit. Pit 232 to be exact, here at Rancho Arroyo Seco. And the fact that it has no wildlife at all living in it makes it ideal for what? Yes, blowing stuff up. It's gonna be a good day.
But before they start blowing anything up, they've got to get their rig in position and make sure it floats.
It's a dock. The other one will be just peachy.
Jamie takes care of the floating structures, so Adam's on the production line.
24 burst discs. Woo! So how are we gonna test the myth that jumping in the water can protect you from an explosion in full scale?
Well, it all starts with a body of water.
And continues with this platform, which soon will have various types of explosives placed right where I'm sitting.
For measurement, we're using Oseco rupture discs, and we're mounting them in these things, and they're calibrated for 13 psi, which is our threshold for human injury. We'll be deploying our rupture disc masts at 5, 10, 20, and 50 feet away from the explosions. We're going to be mounting these things like so on our floating masts at 5 feet above water.
5 feet under the water and 10 feet under the water. And if the myth is true, if jumping in the water really can protect you from an explosion, we should find that one of our masts has its in-air disc burst, but the ones underwater intact.
And for an in-depth result, they do 3 tests with 50 pounds of 3 different explosives, starting with gasoline.
We've got 8 gallons of gasoline up there, and what this is going to do is give us a nice big Hollywood explosion. It's going to be a big fireball, but it's not going to have a whole lot of punch to it. I don't think it's going to burst our discs. It's really more bark than bite.
The burst discs will be the judge of that.
These are the buttons, arm and fire. When I push these, 50 pounds of gasoline on that tripod behind me are going to go boom. Will it demonstrate an improvement to being underwater as opposed to above water? I don't know.
Yep, this is cutting-edge science. We know how shockwaves behave in air or water, but no one knows what will happen when the shock front moves from air into water. Will the shockwave enter the water and speed up, slow down, or even be reflected by the surface? Well, there's only one way to find out.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I've had my coffee. Good to blow.
With the gas bobbing away on the surface of the lake, Jamie utters those familiar words.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
And Adam's on the button.
3, 2, 1. Wow! That was a lot.
It was.
All of our little holders are still in place, but the platform is gone.
The pressure wave from the gasoline may have destroyed the floating platform, but more importantly, how did the burst discs fare? Above and below the water at 50 feet, 20 feet, and 10 feet, they're all intact.
No ruptures.
The burst discs are intact.
At the 5-foot mast above water, that perfect record is broken.
5 feet away. Clean through.
But underwater, it's a different story.
The burst discs are totally intact.
Interesting.
I thought so.
It's looking good for the myth. At 5 feet, the above-water disc burst, but the ones below the surface remained intact.
The gasoline explosion, didn't really create much of a pressure wave. It created a nice big fireball. And I have to say that if I was near one of those, I'd want to get underwater because I wouldn't get burned.
Indeed, but one shockwave does not a result make. So the MythBusters aren't going to leave it there. The team has their data for the automobile phone book armor. 2 books behind a door and 5 in front of a window will bulletproof a car.
Look, diamonds.
So they're about to throw the books at this.
Dude, nice car.
Thanks.
But there's a problem.
What?
Well, that car's carrying capacity is 1,800 pounds. Now, to totally bulletproof it, we'd need over 900 phone books, which weigh more than 4,000 pounds.
So in other words, what you're saying is it would be so heavy it wouldn't be able to move.
Exactly. The maximum number of phone books we can use and still have the car be drivable is 400.
Okay, well, all's not lost. Let's just be strategic about this. Let's strip out all the extra weight and then just bulletproof to priority. I mean, we'll do it around the driver or the engine block, and maybe the passengers in the back could just duck.
All right, sounds like we got our work cut out for us. Well, if we're looking to save weight, we can get rid of the seat.
Yeah, that should buy us some phone books.
Clearly, bulletproofing this car is all about how you throw your weight around.
On a roll now.
Every last scrap of extra weight is ripped from our test vehicle.
All right, that should lighten the load a little. Like a trap shot.
And once the car is stripped, Carrie and Tori start on the strategic stuffing.
You have to make love to the phone book to get it into the door. Then you can do whatever you want with it.
So obviously, you're not going to bulletproof your car with phone books on the run. So, okay, maybe this is the scenario. The 3 of us are trapped in a warehouse. It's surrounded by crazy gunmen, and there just happens to be a car and some phone books there. So you bulletproof the car, make your getaway to freedom. It's a likely scenario.
And that getaway will be far too dangerous for a wheelman. So it's over to RC Whiz Grant.
Now, normally, with the radio control system, you have something called a servo, which is a small motor. But we're talking about a full-size car that's potentially loaded with a lot of weight. This isn't going to cut it. That's why I have this. I made my own servo out of this huge motor, and this is going to be what's steering our car.
And while Grant installs his remote control system, thanks to the time-lapse camera, Carrie and Tori are making light work of the phone book papering.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm having an 18 moment.
With the car fully booked and the remote control complete, the paperback rider is loaded onto the truck, and they're off to a familiar location.
Back at the quarry, I love this place.
Exploding cars, exploding train stations, and of course, exploding cement mixers. This place has seen it all. Well, except this. The world's first phone book armored car. And first up, they need to check Grant's remote control.
Look how low it's riding in the front.
With an almighty 400 phone books weighing it down, the car is not exactly built for speed.
So how fast is our getaway car going?
10 to 15 miles an hour.
So it's bulletproof, but you can catch it on a bicycle.
Hey, if it's bulletproof enough, it doesn't need to go any faster.
Grant's right. But how are they going to know if it is bulletproof enough?
Come on, Trudy. That's right. We've got a whole inflatable family that we're going to put in here, and if any of these guys deflate, we'll know that a bullet made it through. Ready?
Ready.
Now, in order to make the scenario a little bit more realistic, we're using the rest of the phone books to simulate the weight of our passengers.
Right, and with our inflatable friend at the wheel and the passengers lying in the fully fortified footwells, what's the plan?
We are going to have our bulletproof vehicle armored with phone directories at that end of the quarry. It's going to make a mad dash 200 yards in that direction to safety. I'm going to be up on that ridge right there with my M1 Garand. Tori, right there with a shotgun. You ready? Grant, you ready? Great. It's time for science.
Remember, they could use only 400 of the 900 phone books it would take to create a fully armored car. So will their strategic stuffing succeed in protecting both the engine and the passengers?
Shooters ready!
Ready?
Hitting the gas!
Grant flicks a switch, and the paperback rider lurches across the quarry. Then it's lock, stock, and two smoking barrels as Carrie and Tori unload a barrage of bullets into the paper armor. Until the phone book jalopy makes it to safety.
Gas off, brake off, killing it.
I know I hit it, but I'm dying to see if it made it through.
That was so much fun. It was like a shooting gallery.
There's no doubt the bullets hit their mark. But did the passengers survive?
Yes, it's alive!
She survived. Oh my gosh, we made this vehicle bulletproof with nothing but phone books.
Wait, let's check the passengers. 1
There's Chapman.
He's looking all right.
and 2.
He's all right too.
The whole family survived.
Against the shotgun and the M14, the phone book armor did its job.
So the car is in perfect working order, and all the passengers are alive and accounted for. At this point, the myth is looking very good.
The guys are understandably psyched,
You like swing dancing?
but the firearm fun doesn't end here. Our blow-up passengers may have survived the first shoot-'em-up. But the MythBusters aren't about to close the book on this one yet.
Now I think it's time we take it up a notch.
Oh, really?
Let's say these guys are real bad guys and they have some serious weapons.
Science gets more fun when I get a bigger gun.
Oh, it certainly does. And this time the bad guys will be packing some serious heat.
Carrie and I are going to be using the UMP-40 and the M16 fully automatic. Now, if it gets past those guns, we're bringing out the big guns. And just to make sure we get enough rounds into our vehicle, we have a guest shooter, Deputy Eric from the Calaveras County SWAT team. Folks, welcome to the gun show. You ready?
Ready.
Yeah, woohoo!
With our phone book behemoth at the starting line and a trio of fully automatic weapons trained on it, Grant calls the shots.
Brake is coming off. And here goes the gas.
Just like last time, the car trundles into the line of fire. The guns blaze and the phone book confetti flies. Until it reaches the end of the gunshot gauntlet.
Brakes on. Killing the engine.
That was fun!
Good shooting.
Woo! I say get the yellow tape. I don't think Trudy's making it out of this one.
I wonder if dang, look at how many hits we got on this time.
The phone book armor is riddled with bullet holes. But what about those passengers?
Hey,
I see shredded paper.
she's okay.
Yeah, there's definitely confetti. I mean, this is not necessarily bulletproof, but she's one lucky blow-up doll.
And she's not the only one. Amazingly, the other two passengers are also unharmed.
Our passengers, they survived. That's good. I mean, if I have a choice between a car with nothing and phone books, I'm taking the phone books.
This vehicle had a small coolant leak, but it's still running. For all intents and purposes, it's bulletproof. But you know, the next thing is likely to kill the car.
For its final trial by fire, it's not an exaggeration to say they're bringing out the big guns.
Oh my God.
I think there's a rule. You have to be able to carry it in order to shoot it.
I can carry this.
Well, actually, the rule is that it's illegal to purchase a new one of these 50 cal rifles in California. But not for our friends in law enforcement.
This is the best day ever.
To test this myth, we used a shotgun, an M1 Garand, and some machine guns. And it was a fun little game of shoot 'em up. Not quite adequate. So now we're moving on to the big guns. We have a 50 cal, we have a .416 Barrett, and a .338 Lapua. This should be fun.
Fun could be an understatement.
All right, one shot, one kill. Let's do this.
Shooters ready.
Ready?
Ready?
Here goes the gas.
Let the car carnage begin. It's a rain of fire as the car is bombarded with bullet after bullet. Until Carrie lines up a shot at the engine block, and it's all over for the phone book escape escapade.
stopped it.
Oh, I think I know what stopped it.
Carrie took her shot. I swear to God, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, the whole ground shook. There was this big cloud of dust. And basically, it was that shot that stopped the vehicle. Man, these weapons are incredible.
Incredible and lethal.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
She didn't make it.
I don't think anybody in there made it.
Nobody made it. They're both dead in the back.
That's 3 deflated passengers. And a look at the other side of the car reveals why.
Wow. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
So it punched through one side and all the way through the other side.
That is incredible. It cut through this thing like hot knife through butter.
I think I'm positively giddy.
There's no denying that the phone books bit the bullet. But where does that leave the myth?
Well, it's looking like no amount of phone books is gonna stop one of these rounds.
Yeah, but up to a 50 cal, this phone book armor stopped just about everything.
Well, this is a perfect progression of a story. I mean, with the first round of guns, we're bulletproof. The second round of guns, we're like, bullet resistant. And with the final round of guns, we're more like bullet absorbent.
All right, who's driving home?
Shotgun.
Jamie and Adam are having a blast
The platform is gone.
to find out if a quick dip could save your life.
Wow!
And now they're amping up for even more boom for their buck.
For this blast, we're going to use a blasting agent called AMPHO. It's ammonium nitrate, which is basically fertilizer, and diesel fuel. Now, that's going to create a pressure wave moving out from the blast at 4,000 feet per second. That pressure wave is what's going to burst our discs.
That's the theory. And with a new set of burst discs in place, they're ready for a big AMPHO bang.
Everything's in. It looks great.
But how will it compare to gasoline?
My sense is that the water is so much denser than the air that the explosion wants to follow the path of least resistance. So that's the air. I think it's just going to bounce off the water.
It's definitely going to burst the 5 and the 10-foot burst discs in air. I don't think it's going to burst those in water. I think this is going to demonstrate a clear difference in the shockwave propagation in air as opposed to water.
Well, all is about to be revealed as Jamie takes the controls.
We're good to go?
You're good to go. You are in control.
All right then.
And remember, don't try this kind of boom in your own lagoon.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Take it away.
50 pounds of AMPHO in 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.
Whoops, 50 pounds of AMPHO almost obliterated the rig entirely.
It's suddenly become a recovery mission.
A recovery mission indeed. But what has the 4,000 feet per second shockwave done to the burst discs?
Okay. Oh,
It's burst?
it's clean through.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, God, I wonder what it's going to look like underneath.
Yeah, that's the big question.
So at 50 feet above water, the furthest distance from the explosion, the discs are burst. But underwater,
Both burst discs are burst.
Wow.
50 pounds of AMPHO burst every single pressure disc. But that huge blast is making it difficult for the guys to call this one just yet.
AMPHO's reputation is that of a pushy explosive, and like the pushy kid on the schoolyard, it has decimated 2 out of our 4 masts. Is this a result? Not really the definitive result we're looking for. I'm hoping for more from dynamite.
That's right, the MythBusters have one more explosive for bomb disposal.
This time around, we're using 50 pounds of dynamite. That's 25 of these things. Now, dynamite is a high explosive that creates a pressure wave that moves at 9,000 feet per second in air. It's faster than the AMPHO was, but it's got less push. In the industry, that's known as brisance.
The final explosive is cautiously towed into position, ready for a detonation.
Look at it go, our little tetrahedron of death.
Yep, it's all down to that little tetrahedron. The gas explosion showed you'd be better off underwater, whereas the ampho detonation was total devastation above or below the surface. So now it's all down to the dynamite decider.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
All right, I'm gonna do it. 50 pounds of dynamite. And 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That was a thud.
That was more than the ampho.
The dynamite explosion was, well, dynamite.
I only see one of our things left.
Yeah.
Salvage operation.
The rig has clearly been decimated by the dynamite. But will the underwater burst discs have suffered the same fate?
It's a hilarious horror show down here. The 5, the 10, and the 20-foot marker are all huddled together. They are still attached to the rope, but every single burst disc on all 3 of them is completely blown. Over.
Well, I'll be darned.
Underwater at 5, 10, and 20 feet, the discs are broken, a pattern mirrored above water. But how about the 50-footer?
Well, that's clean through.
Above water, it's burst. However,
You're gonna love this, Jamie. The 50-foot mast, 10 foot down, the burst disc is intact.
Well, that says something really strong about the myth. That's great. What about the 5-footer?
The 5-footer is also intact. Repeat, the 5-footer is also intact.
What happened at this 50-foot marker is really interesting because we have a blown disc above water, but we have intact discs below water.
so that's a bombshell result. Just like the gasoline explosion, when it comes to a dynamite bomb, diving underwater would make a difference.
Explosives are funny creatures. The ampho broke our rope and decimated 2 out of our 4 masts. The dynamite did not break our rope, but decimated 3 out of the 4. However, it burst all of the in-air burst discs, but not the 2 underwater burst discs on the 50. That is the kind of result that I was hoping for. That tells me that there really might be something for the myth. Am I going to use one of the 3 magic words? No, not until I'm with Jamie at the very end.
So where do we stand?
Well, in a situation like this, it's plausible that the water would protect you from an explosion.
Plausible it is. Let's get out of here.
Okay.